The Mahoney County Grand Jury returned an indictment against Robert A. Seman, Jr.
Top story coverage is murder charges filed against Robert Seman Jr. in the deaths of Corinne Gump and her grandparents. It all stems from this deadly fire along Powers Way back in March.
Now, this is a live look outside that home tonight. 2.5 months after that fire, you can see parts of it are boarded up and a pile of stuffed animals outside. The investigation has been ongoing for months.
And today we headed downtown for a major announcement from Mahoning County's prosecuting attorney, Paul Gaines. Now, here's a breakdown of the charges, starting with Robert Seman Jr. facing a total of 10 counts of aggravated murder, 3 counts of aggravated arson, also 3 counts of aggravated burglary. If convicted, he could face 3 life sentences. 27 First News reporter Gerry Ricciutti has been covering this story since the very beginning, and he's live tonight in Youngstown with our top story coverage.
Erica and Dave, almost 2.5 months since 10-year-old Corinne Gump and her grandparents, Judy and Bill Schmidt, died in this house behind me when it caught fire. Prosecutors and investigators today admit finally that they've got this puzzle pieced back together, and they were able to present what they had to a Mahoning County grand jury. Now, this afternoon, after that indictment had been filed, Mahoning County prosecutor Paul Gaines, along with some of his assistants and fire investigators, met with reporters to discuss the charges against Robert Seman, as well as the potential penalties he could face if he's convicted. Gaines says this case took a lot of time to analyze all the evidence that authorities had gathered since March 30th, the day of that fire. In and among all that, investigators were able to determine the fire was indeed an intentional act.
Results indicated the presence of gasoline, which was allegedly used as an accelerant. Furthermore, 2 plastic 5-gallon gas cans were found at the scene of the fire in close proximity to the house.
Now, you'll recall after we broke the news days after that fire that authorities had raided Seman's house in Green Township armed with search warrants. This afternoon, for the first time since that day, Gaines confirmed evidence was recovered there.
That will come out in due course. Rest assured, all of that information at some point in time will become available to the public. I can tell you that there were items confiscated and that were subjected to laboratory testing.
Now, as we've also been telling you since March 30th, Robert Seman remains jailed in the Mahoning County Justice Center without bond. He's in a secure area of the jail for his own protection. We're told today he'll appear on these new charges sometime later this month. Live on the south side of Youngstown, I'm Gerry Ricciutti. Eric and Dave.
All right, Jerry, thanks. Now, there have been a number of big events in this case which led up to today's charges. First News has been there for every one. Our news crew was the only one in court when Robert Seman Jr. appeared before Judge Maureen Sweeney just hours after the deadly fire. That is when Seman's rape trial was supposed to begin. By the way, prosecutors asked for a postponement, and Seman's bond was revoked. A short time later that day, Corinne Gump's mother was brought to Youngstown Police Department for questioning.
How are you doing?
Investigators say she had been living in Robert Seman's Green Township home. And finally, one day later, fire investigators were back at the home along Powers Way. They used a small chainsaw to cut materials pulled out of the house. Evidence was also marked and taken away in bags. And then on April 2nd, investigators spent hours searching that house along West Calla Road. Mahoning County Sheriff's deputies and agents with the Ohio BCI and State Fire Marshal's office were there. They pulled a number of items out of the home. And the last time we saw Robert Seman Jr. in court was on May 22nd. At that time, his attorney asked the judge to throw out the case against him because the victim was no longer alive and could not testify. The judge gave prosecutors 10 days to put their arguments in writing, and the case was continued.
We're also hearing from some of those closest to Corinne about today's indictment. Lisa Capiti spoke on behalf of her father, Ethan Gump, today. She says the family has been in contact with authorities throughout the investigation.
I mean, it was a shock. I mean, we weren't expecting it, and I got the phone call around 10:30 this morning, and it just hit us like a ton of bricks, I guess.
She told us the family is still grieving over the little girl's death, along with her grandparents, Judith and William Schmidt.